All right, go. Go. That's tomorrow. That is it. That's tomorrow. That is it for us today. Leave you with a. I can't do it. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it. We'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks. That's tomorrow. That is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away.
What is up, everybody? It is your boy Lou Martinez, aka Big Chief Burrito, live with you on a Tuesday. Fireside Chats with Big Chief Burrito, coming at you live from the Burrito Lounge in beautiful southern Chula Vista, California. Part 2 of my Snyder Cut breakdown. We did a part 1 with Crystal Hubbard of Kara-El, Supergirl Unburdened famed, and Patrick, actor, and one of the originators, or one of the people there at the ground level at the Release the Snyder Cut movement on Twitter, year plus ago when this whole started going down. And it was a fun chat. We talked a little bit about Zack Snyder, his filmography, the movie, the goods, the bads, and the ugly. But I had 2 other people that I want to bring on the panel that I could not bring on due to timing issues. So I wanted to bring them on today to talk about the movie. So very happy to bring on number 1 official Snyder fanboy, Mr. Justin Burquist.
What's up, Lou?
The man who says Sucker Punch does not suck. We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
I do remember that discussion. And I want to
Ryan yelling at me across the room.
Oh my god! Okay. It was a funny one. And all the way from the dystopian future of Zack Snyder's nightmare, we got Batman.
Oh,
Mr.
Yeah.
Hey man, that is a badass cow you got there on there, Mr. Batman.
Mad Max Batman.
Mr. Jose Iturriaga, composer, artist, and as you can see, a fan of the cosplay and what have you. Thank you guys both for coming on, man.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
and thank you. And thank you for that awesome for busting out the cosplay. How long did it take you to make that costume, man?
Well, actually, it was kind of put together with different elements because I don't do too many cosplays, but a few years back, my wife and I saw Wonder Woman, and she's like, "Oh, I want to cosplay as Wonder Woman." And I was like, "Oh, okay, let's give it a go." So we set up hers, and it was great. She had a lot of fun. And then I was like, you know what? I did like that Nightmare Batman a lot. So I started putting it together. The cowl, though, I didn't make it. I got it from a guy that has his own effects company called Hernandez Effects, and he does some amazing stuff. the other stuff I kind of put it together from here and there, because it's not like other cosplays that you can create the armor or things like that. Like it's actual, like, the trench coat, the gloves, and all that. It's a little harder to like just make it out of the blue. So it was more like a bashing stuff here and there. But I've been upgrading it every now and then. I have a pleather coat, but it's super hot. So I'm using the fabric version today because it's a little more.
Can you grab that one behind you? Put it side by side. I want to see how the two of you guys look. Yeah.
Separated at birth.
All right, hey, there you go. Okay,
Nice.
all right, man. That's fair.
Is it all the way down, or is this just like a shirt version of it, where it's just like you're in
it's
boxers
just
beneath the
shirt.
frame?
Yeah, I mean, right now I just have a T-shirt, but I have another like really nice texture shirt that I use at conventions. But it's just the top. That's what I like about it, because the people that do dress up like full body Batman thing, man, that requires some scanning right there.
That's a level of commitment, man, right there. Especially if you're going to be walking around like with 60,000 people, body heat.
Yeah, I did that Comic-Con a couple of years ago, before COVID, in the good old days.
the good old
Aren't
days.
they coming back? Did they announce it recently that they're?
Well, they're saying they're going to do it in November,
person.
but I'm not sure if that's going to happen or how. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm just wondering how that's going to affect my pro badge. I was like,
Yeah,
I got
banned.
I know, and I saw that all play out. I saw all that play out in real time. I was like, does he know he's gonna get banned for doing this? I was like,
well,
I'm
done
not gonna
it for so many years, and then I think I had an email or something attached to one of my like Craigslist accounts or something, and it didn't work out.
No, that did not. All right, but so thank you for dressing up, Jose. Thank you for dressing the part for the event. But if that becomes too hot or whatever, feel free to turn back into your normal Jose face, and we'll be fine with it. We'll survive. Also,
everybody. Put it on.
no. Well, no, hey, you got to commit to it. You got to commit to the bit. So I had Crystal and my boy Patrick. We came in when we talked about the cut. Justin, you're also a big fan of Snyder in general, and you were part of that same release the Snyder Cut movement when it started off. How did
all my Twitter friends hated me? I think because of retweeting shit. Yeah.
How did number one, how did it feel when you found out that it was going to happen, and can you compare that level of expectation to like when you actually sat down to watch it?
Oh, man, it was it was pretty shocking, because I remember I got one of my friends from El Centro was watching it. He's like a big Snyder fan too, and so he had texted me because I wasn't watching that video they were doing with Henry Cavill, where I don't know, they show like the image of Zack Snyder's Justice League. But he texted me, and I was like, I was thinking it was coming because it seemed kind of odd timing for everything. But yeah, it was. And then I was like, well, how's this movie gonna even meet anybody's expectations? Because it's like it's like almost legendary at this point. And it was funny because when I watched it, like I kind of was disappointed at first, like the first hour of watching it, because it didn't remind me of BVS very much, which I think Snyder was like, all right, I gotta try to make a hit. So he kind of, went light on the depth, and it was kind of it's so weird, man, just to have it out.
Well, do you think that he sort of eschewed some of the stuff that he wanted to put in, like the Lois and Batman relationship, like the Bruce Wayne Lois relationship and stuff like that? Or do you think that where do you think he shortchanged it from what his original vision was?
Well, I know that he had said that, I guess there was a scene where Batman discovers the what do you call them? The bad guys. Well, no, like that there was like these egg sacs that create the. See, it's funny. Like I'm not even a comic book fan. I'm just I like certain directors, I guess, and Snyder's one of them. You can help me out, Jose. What are they called? The bad guys with the weird mouths and they have the laser rifles and all that shit.
Oh, the Parademons.
Yeah, the Parademons. So there was a scene where apparently Batman, so he cut that apparently the studio wouldn't let him shoot that because he said it was scary. And what else? I know he told Kevin Smith that there was like 20 minutes like a good 20 minutes that he cut out that could have gone in. Like, because you don't really see a lot of his excessive kind of Snyderisms, right? You get that, like, the Icelandic dirge at the beginning, or maybe not.
10% of the 10,
like
10% of the movie. I made a joke that I was going to take the over on the slow motion scenes, and I was like, how many slow motion scenes could there be? And I was like, well, maybe 15, 20, 10% of the movie was slow motion.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, when you direct something, like, you realize you are directing time a lot of times. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm a big Tarkovsky fan, and like his book's called In Sculpting in Time, and you realize that slowing down moments and making a move. And to me, it's always shocking to me that people don't use slow motion more often. And, you know, I mean, I did a whole music video and it was all slow motion. You know, it was like 3.5 minutes of just everything moving backwards at 60 frames a second. And it's like, to me, slow motion like is inherently cinematic because it just makes you concentrate on the image. So, you know, it's like everybody wants to make these like faux documentaries nowadays where it's like, you know, people talking and like it's like, oh, we're like there. But like that's what I appreciate about Snyder, is that he really pushes the cinematic kind of expression, you know, to, I don't want to say the limits, but you know what I mean? Like he's pushing it. And he gets mocked for it, but it's like something that I admire him for, I guess.
He had a bunch of we played this in when we had the other pod, but he did an animated owl movie, and there was so much so much slow motion.
Yeah,
well,
his kids, I think.
What so Jose, what was your initial impression of the film after waiting for so long, after comparing it to the original? How did you feel when you finally sat down?
Well, you know, it's interesting because within my group of friends, I'm kind of like the Snyder apologist. You know, you know how everything's everything's labels now. So, and I do like a lot of his stuff. There's things that I don't like, some decisions that he takes, but overall, I do like most of his movies. And I'm one of the few people that actually enjoy Batman versus Superman. And you know, hey, it got me to cosplay. So, but in the case of the Snyder Cut, because I remember when I went to see the Justice League in theater, it was okay. You know, there were so many things that felt so out of place, starting with the mustache gate. That was just like, you know, it was like, how would people even approve this? It's like, why would you even try and do this? It's so especially weird. Considering that the technology is there to make it look better. Why do you end up looking so crappy? So, well, but that's that could be a whole podcast in its own. But when I saw the original Justice League, I was like, okay, I guess it's okay. You know, it's forgettable. It's safe. You know, that's it. You know, it's. And then when the whole Snyder Cut movement started to, you know, getting a little more traction, and Snyder started posting pictures of it, of his shots on Vero, that's when I was like getting really excited. I was like, okay, yeah, this might be happening. And when they finally announced, I was like, yes.
Yeah, it's like he's like, I have a copy of it on my laptop. I'm like, are you editing on Final Cut Pro, Premiere? What's this bad boy sitting on? Like, are you gonna have to relay?
QuickTime file.
I know, right?
He had a QuickTime file. Wow.
Yeah,
but I did see it. I liked it a lot. I've seen it 3 times already. Like 2 regular, the regular Snyder Cut, and then the black and white, or the gray, the Justice's gray cut. And
it's not gray, it's desaturized, right? Is that
yeah? It's gray. But I did
tomato.
A lot. There were a few things I could have like do without, but for the most part, I thought it was like a huge improvement, especially in the whole character development. I mean, I love what they did with Cyborg and Flash, because it was just like in Joss Whedon's Justice League, they were just there. It was frustrating, and here you get to know more of them, like the character development, the action scenes, everything's different. One thing that I really hated about Whedon's Flash was that he was like afraid to use his powers. I was like, oh no, like well insecure. And here you see that he's more proactive. He's actually, like, yeah, I do this. This is my thing. So I really enjoyed that. And Cyborg's storyline was just great. So I was really, really happy with it.
Justin, one of the things that Crystal had brought up, and this is from a long time ago when we were doing pods about this, which was the Man of Steel, the Superman, the Pa Kent sort of sacrifice for Superman's character.
Oh right, yeah.
No, I'm cool. I'm cool. Don't. I'm
I'm
good. I'm good in this. Leave me in the tornado. You have fun,
Right,
son. Which I thought was like, for her at least, where the mistakes began there. How do you feel about this iteration of Superman, the character? I know you're coming at it sort of from me, because I wasn't a comic book fan, but I'm coming at it from the movie fans. But compared to the other Supermans you've seen, how do you feel like his morality, like his character stacks up?
Well, I mean, like, to be honest, like, I remember watching the Donner Superman when I was younger, and it didn't do anything for me. Like, in fact, like, I rewatched it. I forget how
Not
many
enough
years
slow
ago, and
motion.
well, you probably, and it was just like too campy, and just kind of cheesy. And like, to be honest, I've always thought Superman was kind of a dumb character, because it's like his only weakness is kryptonite. So I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm sounding pretty sacrilegious. But when I saw Man of Steel, I was like, oh, I was actually surprised that I saw a Superman movie that I kind of enjoyed. I mean, I guess the Bryan Singer one was that one called Superman Returns.
Superman Returns, yeah. With,
and I remember being like,
Inky Darlene Parker Posey.
Yeah, Parker Posey. That's right. She was great in it. She's great in everything, man. Anytime I see her on a docket, I'm excited. But yeah, I liked Man of Steel. Like I enjoyed it. It's not one of my favorite Snyder films, but.
We got a comment here coming in from Dark Sage. It was terrible because nothing made sense from a universe perspective, because for the entirety of the DCU, Batman and Superman were about the only two major characters who got any development or story. That is.
Oh, he's probably talking about the Justice League, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get a lot of different viewpoints on this because of people that are either comic book purists, which are fans of Snyder. So you got a lot of like universes that are like crashing here because you take totally. You take this director with a definitive style, whether it's a Morrissey music video or what have you.
Michael Jordan's Playground. Yeah.
Whether it's something like that, the 300, Sucker Punch, which is like you're gonna have a definitive take on these movies, and then you have
like a strong one. Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna make choices. He's gonna make strong choices. And then you have the DC universe, which. They're sort of not in lockstep because they seem to be a couple of steps behind the Marvel universe in terms of like planning out their entire structure.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess but it's okay because we don't necessarily need every universe to be treated the same way, right?
Well, and I know like Snyder had like what a 5-film arc, or like there was 3 Justice Leagues, and then that was it. Like I guess Batman dies, and I guess it goes on wherever it goes. And like I like that. I prefer that to 24 movies, and you kind of have to see all of them, And it's like I'm like, well, that's kind of like a TV series, which it's they made some good movies, but it's just like it's not for me, I guess. So I don't mind the kind of DC, putting out a movie here or there. But I get why people love the cohesive universe and everything, reacting to other movies. And
I think that's one of the weirdest things that has come out of the whole superhero movie universe we lived in today is the Marvel versus DC thing. Like I enjoy a lot of
like Apple
Marvel.
and Android, man. Yeah,
I enjoy them. I like them a lot. I mean, some of them are terrible. Some of them are great. The overall arc is really good, but still, that's their own thing. They can coexist. I mean, why can't we be friends? Or super friends?
Precisely. All right. So, Jose, what were some of your favorite parts of the new cut?
Well, obviously the epilogue of that nightmare scene that comes back when I first heard that it was coming back. Because I don't know, man, it was something when I saw Batman vs Superman. That scene alone, even though a lot of people were like, "What just happened?" I was like mesmerized by it. I was like, "Oh, this is," because I think Batman and Superman, all these characters that we've been familiar for like decades, they're like almost like Dracula or James Bond. I mean, they can be so many different iterations of it, like new points of view. I mean, if you get the same character over and over again, it just becomes lame and stale. It's like there's nothing more to it. So I did enjoy that nightmare sequence a lot. So obviously, when I heard it was coming back, that was my favorite scene, and it kind of redeemed Jared Leto's Joker
A little bit.
because he was like in Suicide Squad. It was kind of like haphazardly because of also the meddling of the studio there too and whatnot.
Wasn't he sending like his actors, his co-stars, like condoms or something? Or
Yeah,
something?
That was a rumor. Yeah,
trying to be.
he says it's not true, but that's yeah. That'd be an exciting set to work on.
Go ahead, Jose.
Oh, but yeah, I mean, my favorite scene as a fan was the another nightmare scene because you get to see Flash with his upgraded suit and all that. That was pretty cool. But overall, as a moment was that final battle with Steppenwolf. It was so different to Joss Whedon's version, and they really kicked ass at Justice League, like as a team. They were like just going at it. I absolutely love that part too. So.
That the nightmare sequence reminded me a little bit of the Darth Vader sequence from the end of Rogue One, where you get this little like 30-second thing where he comes in and he's just like peak Vader, like peak 100%. Yeah. And side note, and I thought this was a hot take before, but Rogue One is the best Star Wars property of all time. When you take nostalgia out of it, when you take nostalgia out of the first couple of films, Rogue One is by far the best Star Wars film, visually, storyline, self-containing arc. No money grabs for like 7 movies, and that little Darth Vader sequence right there is sort of, and that was one of the things that I was like, man, we were gonna get a second movie that was all set in this universe, which is kind of like the Back to the Future 2 Biff Tannen sort of universe, right, where everything's fucked.
Well, Rogue One was heavily reshot too. But they brought in Tony Gilroy, and he apparently reshot like the whole third ending or the last act of the film.
Really?
There were a lot of scenes in the trailer that didn't show up.
Remember the running across the water?
That stuff that made the trailer that didn't make the actual final cut.
Yeah, supposedly I think as he came on, he got through the Writers Guild, got a writing credit, and he came on like just for the rewrites for like reshooting the last act. From what everyone's saying, I think he was even on a podcast talking about it. And he said it was like a big problem, a big mess whenever he got on board.
Whatever the hell they did, at the end of the day, I think for me it's one of my favorites. Or if, like I said, nostalgia aside, because you're like, oh, but Empire, but whatever. I think my biggest take the last time I talked was that it felt like a big flex, like a weird flex. Like he made it as if the last 4 years had not happened. So he's almost releasing this as if this was 4 years ago, even though it's not, even though a bunch of the stuff that he put in there have no possibility of happening. He was like, I'm flexing on him. I'm Zack Snyder. This is what I did. And it felt a little bit like that. I felt like if he wanted a better chance of it actually happening, like the Snyderverse to be restored, I think he probably would have released or would have not added all these little one-off things that just exist in this space and then disappear. Like and I call them Marvin the Martian Manhunter,
Yeah,
which is
that was a
which is
little
gonna
bit where I was like, eh.
which is gonna be my cosplay next year. Don't copy me, Jose.
No.
Marvin Martian Manhunter. And then like all the other stuff. I just kind of like the stuff that I loved was the flashback stuff to the era of Heroes. That's that stuff. And like I said last time, like I'm not a comic book guy, but I watched tons of movies, obviously, like you, Justin. So I was like, oh, I understand that they cut the guy's hand off. The ring is going to go find somebody else. Like I was like, I get that reference. So I like some of the stuff. The stuff that I didn't like, there's some weird CGI. Like with the horses looked like they were kind of Minecraft horses. And I also like that they got rid of all the like side jokes, all the Josh Whedon kind of like levity is out of there. I think that was the best part. And he was like, I'm not gonna use anything that Josh shot.
Well, there was this situation where I know you're familiar with the whole cyborg drama that's been going behind the scenes. But even Gal Gadot mentioned that she had a bit of a scuffle with Joss Whedon because on his version, there's a scene where they're fighting the parademons and Steppenwolf in that underground area that they're first fighting at, and Wonder Woman falls down, and then Flash falls on top of her, and that was right off of Avengers. You know, I think that scene was with Black Widow and.
Oh yeah, people were saying that, huh?
Yeah. So he was ripping off himself, like inserting the same jokes he did in Avengers, trying to put him here. And Gal Gadot said, like, no way, I'm not doing that. That's a childish joke. Like, oh yeah, the Flash falls on my boots. You know, that was ridiculous. So she went with the higher ups, and what they ended up doing, if you see the Joss Whedon version, is that they used the body double because she's looking away from the camera. But they kept that joke, and that was obviously out. If you see it as Snyder version, they both land like, you know, superhero landing kind of thing, and you know, similar things happen with all the situations with Cyborg and even the Flash. I mean, I appreciate some lighthearted humor in some things, but when it gets to like, you know, like the whole Russian family thing from Joss Whedon,
that was gone.
So that was gone. So I appreciate that.
I mean, Whedon's getting shit on enough just on itself, so we don't need to like pile on.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was a weird choice to sort of take over. I think that was kind of like, well, who do we have that's kind of like a Kevin Feige type person? And I was like, well, Joss Whedon. Okay, yeah, let's bring him on. Let's see
Avengers.
The Avengers. I think James Gunn would have been a better choice. Obviously, but he would have also brought kind of what, you know,
baggage.
Yeah. All right. If it wasn't Snyder, Justin, what director do you think could have been brought on to salvage the original Snyder Cut?
Oh, to salvage it.
Don't say Terrence Malick.
Well, I was gonna bring up. Oh man, come back to me. Let me think about that because that's.
Think about it.
I want to say Michael Bay, but that's
no
too.
Is Ray Gallardo in your ear? What's going on here?
That's right.
I would have gone with Gareth Edwards. I don't like his stuff. Yeah.
Gareth Edwards.
Yeah.
Gareth Edwards would be good.
Now, there's a lot of what if movies out there now. Like after the Snyder Cut came out, people were like, well, I had a cut of Suicide Squad that wasn't as shitty. Why don't we release my cut? And then they're like, well, there's a cut of this that didn't get released. So you think that's just a lot of directors just like trying to cover their ass to try to be like, hey, the studios fucked me. My cut was better. I mean, I usually watch a director's cut a few years after I watch the theatrical cut of a movie. And like, for example, I watched the director's cut of The Town the other day. The high school.
I didn't know they
The
had
Town.
one.
Yeah, they have like an extra 6 or 7 scenes in there that just. But then you watch it and you're like, those scenes did nothing. And you're like, okay, sometimes you got to trim stuff for a theatrical release. But how do you guys feel about kind of those what ifs out there?
I think, because it all comes. I mean, it's new for Warner. I mean, they did it with Donner, with Superman too. I mean, we got Donner cut like 30 something years afterwards, and yeah, it was better, but they didn't have enough material to make it like his original vision. Now it's different because now they keep all. I mean, back then it was film. Now they shot digital. They get the chance to have all that stuff. In the case of the Ayer cut for Suicide Squad, I mean, it's pretty obvious that things went wrong there with studio meddling, and I would be curious to see that one. Now, I don't think it's that much the director trying to cover his ass and say like, "Oh, my movie didn't suck because of the studio." I mean, it could become a trend, but as you said, if it's just like deleted scenes that don't really affect the story, that's not what I would say like a cut. That's just editing. But if it's something that's so different, like in the Snyder Cut, I mean, it's like 2 different films. I think it's important to get the chance to see that because, I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so I'm from the age of blockbusters. Mm-hmm. But back then, all the movies were so bonkers, like anything and everything was being produced. But now, like lately, it's been kind of like a studio mandated thing. There's so much control in the creative process that it can obviously affect the outcome positively or negatively. So I think if there's certain movies that could benefit from their own cuts, I don't see anything wrong with seeing them. I mean, you don't have to see it if you don't want to. I mean, if you love Joss Whedon's Justice League, hey, good for you. Go ahead and watch it. It's there. But if you didn't and you want to see the alternate, I mean,
I think we're retconning it. We're pretending that never existed. I think that's what we're. Are we all just agreeing that Josh Whedon's version never happened, and we're just going to be like, didn't happen. The cut that shall not be mentioned.
But I think the studio, they said it's canon, right? They're going with this version of the film, continuing with their whatever DCEU they're doing, which seems weird. But
they can play with all the multiverses and alternate universes thing. So it's like,
Yeah, I feel like Marvel sticks a lot more to they're a lot more methodical, more planned out. This leads to this, leads to these. There's certain like jumps and stuff like that. And I guess there's the 3 different models. The Marvel model, which is we are going to plan every fucking aspect of this out. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, the TV shows, it's like, hey, you're not going to understand what happened to this unless you got that McDonald's meal that was out for 2 weeks after Avengers, because you got to see the story that was on the back of that cup. And that's going to make sense to you. Then you got the Star Wars universe where they're like, we're going to let the director of each individual film fuck up the narrative and the canon as much as they want. And then we'll figure it out. The next director will be like, all right, it's kind of like that game Beautiful Corpse where you draw the top part of the picture and you don't know.
Yeah.
They're like, and then at the end you're like, oh, this is the picture. I didn't realize that's what you guys were doing. But I guess some of the shit I said was bullshit. And then DC, which is... And I really admire DC because of all the side stories and different takes, the different takes on Batman, the different takes on different things that they let artists go crazy on that. But it just kind of feels like they're not 100% sure what they want to commit to. And I think what Marvel did is they're like, we're committing. Now, they got lucky that Iron Man 1 was a hit, right? Because then that made them justify like, all right, we're on the right path. Let's keep going. But if like Iron Man 1 would have done like half of what it did box office wise, we might not be sitting here at phase 4, right?
Yeah.
Right.
What's a bigger what if? The Lord and Miller cut of Solo, a Star Wars story, if they had been allowed to finish it and made it more funny, or the mysterious Tim Burton with a Kevin Smith script and Nicolas Cage as Superman cut. What would you have rather seen completed? the Solo movie with Lord and Miller, or the Tim Burton?
You got to see Nicolas Cage playing Superman. That's got to be super fascinating.
Yeah.
Even if I wasn't a Superman fan back then, I would just Nicolas Cage playing Superman. Oh, come on, you got to watch that.
I mean, if you've seen those videos on YouTube of the suit and all this crazy ass thing.
Yeah, there's a crazy ass documentary about it, which is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I would be curious. I'm not sure I would like it, but I would be curious to see it. Because I'm not sure about the Solo movie. Even though Ron Howard's was kind of like by the numbers. I mean, he's by the book kind of.
It's pretty mediocre. Yeah.
I did enjoy Solo, to be honest. I
didn't hate it.
It was harmless, but it was fun. It was old school kind of, almost like a Saturday morning cartoon into a movie kind of thing.
Too much fan service in my opinion. I mean, I think there was nothing wrong with it, but it was just like I think that you need the right amount of fan service to really kind of hammer stuff like that home, like, I mean, not to hammer stuff home, but I think it's like to not make you feel like you're getting hit over this head with this nostalgia hammer. Like, the dice, you ever wonder about the dice? Well, here's a whole story you ever wonder about his last name?
Yep. That was, it was a little too like, wink, wink.
Yeah, I would have preferred if some of that would have been a little bit less stuff. But back to the question I asked you earlier: who should have taken over the Snyder Cut originally, Justin?
It's funny because like Breck Eisner was popping into my head for some reason. He did the Crazies, the remake, which I thought was pretty great.
That was good.
And he did a movie with Vin Diesel, The Last Witch Hunter, I think, which actually I kind of enjoyed. But I think he's been trying to crack the I think superhero thing. In fact, what's he working on now? He's working on something. I'll throw Breck Eisner in there. I'm a big John Moore fan too, even though people seem to hate him. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got their variety of takes. That's what I said. Terrence Malick's Justice League would have been nice.
Well, that's always the weird thing that I actually hate about Nolan is you see his fight scenes and he's just aping Malick. It feels like the whole time, like the camera's like just impressionistically flowing in and out, and the edit's just this blob of strange cuts, and it doesn't make sense. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if Terrence Malick's built for comic books.
Yeah, when you have that scene from like Batman versus Superman, the warehouse scene, when he comes to rescue Martha Kent, that was an epic scene. It was like felt like one of the Arkham video games scenes. It was like, this is good. This is fun.
All right, guys, we are live with Justin Burquist and Jose Iturriaga, director Justin. What do we call you, Jose? Composer, cosplayer, graphic designer, a little bit of everything over there. Me and I want to give a shout out to Jose because he was one of the people that worked on a film of mine called Alien Story that we did a few years back.
My favorite you've done. Yeah.
Yes. And I wanted to play a little piece of music that he wrote for the film, just a little bit of it. To show, to brag on my friend on some of his skills. So here's a little clip from Alien Story featuring music by Jose.
Do not have sex with the aliens.
Me and Ty were like, we need a video game feel intro for this, and we talked to Jose about it, and he was like, I got you guys. So Jose, what kind of went into your process for this?
Well, it's funny because at the time I was working with Ty doing some short films, and I also have my musical project, which at the time was kind of like a retro synthwave kind of style, which everybody's doing right now. So I was like, okay, but like, what is it, like 4 years ago that this came out? And he's like, hey, we need something that it's like 8-bit, 16-bit kind of like retro video game music. And I was like, oh, I have the right elements for that. And I started like to listen to all these old themes from video games to kind of get myself into that vibe. And I was like, oh man, this is fun. Because the funny thing about this type of music is that it was obviously constrained by the technology. But in the end, it turns out to be a very unique style on its own due to that. Kind of like, pixelated art, that now there's all these people doing pixel art on like super crazy Photoshop and Maya things, and they're doing pixel art. Same thing with the music. So I went and found some great sounds for it, and it was a blast to put together. It was so much fun. But,
and leave it up to Ty to go above and beyond and be like, I'm going to create this entire 8-bit video game segment for the intro, and I'm like, okay,
yeah.
Like you go ahead and do that.
Because he also helped me out with one of our music videos for my
with the helicopter and the video game and stuff like that. That is. Yeah, so shout out Ty Mabry, Bang Zoom Pow. The guy's like, he's better at what he does than you're at what you do. Basically, that's what I tell people about them. He's better. He's much better at whatever it is you're good at than you could imagine. He's very good at what he does, and I appreciate the fact that he's there. Justin, I think the what I was going to say earlier is that the Venn diagram of my movie taste and your movie taste sort of meets at Terrence Malick. I think that's kind of like our shared circle there. And I did my little Terrence Malick inspired short that I
watched
shared
it.
with you.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I liked it. I mean, it was a departure for you. That was the most interesting thing to me. That you were doing. I mean, because you kind of haven't done anything like that before, right?
No, not really. Not like that.
I mean, that was like real dramatic, even though kind of at the end you kind of, you got on the bike and I don't
reverse Kaiser the reverse Kaiser Soze.
Yeah. Yeah. What inspired you to do that, actually, Eddie? Like, was that somebody brought a story to you? I can't remember what the credit was if you wrote it too.
Well, what it was is that when I was a kid and growing up, and I also am a child of the 80s, which is interesting because I got my second COVID shot the other day, and my friend was like, hey, you got to watch out because young people are having a rough time with the second dose. And I was like, yeah, I know I dress like I'm 25 and I wear my hats and stuff, but I'm 43. I'm not a kid. I'm not young. I was born in 77. I'm not young. So I was all scared, but then I realized, I'm not actually young. I just dress young. So it was fine.
Young at heart.
But in the 80s, my dad drove a cab, so he would meet a lot of interesting people in Queens and New York when I was growing up. And one of the guys that we met, or that he knew, my dad would show up with a bicycle after work, and sometimes it was like a girl's bike and it was too small for me. Sometimes it was like a big ass bike. It was just, he would show up with random ass bikes. He's like, I got you a bike. I was like, cool, you got me a bike. And then it would be like, and I'd be like, how'd you get this bike? And he's like, well, there's a crackhead at the park. And what he does, what he does is he goes around and he follows kids and he acts like he's slow. And then he plays around and he chases them. And then he's like, can I ride your bike? And as soon as they say, yeah, you can ride my bike, he dips. And I was like, to feed his addiction, he would steal bicycle from children.
Wow.
And
that happens down where I grew up. Yeah.
Hey,
like you
so
swipe.
Yeah, that's something that happens. People steal bicycles, especially in New York. So for some reason that stuck with me all these years, and I've always been a fan of Terrence Malick. The Thin Red Line is one of my favorite movies. So I always wanted to do something that was a mixture of like visuals and poetry, and just something that was kind of very moody, artistic. And I had this idea to build this character, build a day in the life of this character. And why is he so stubborn? Why does he do what he do? Why is he like okay? And then it's a mixture of like the Thin Red Line, an homage to the bike thief sort of as well,
Right.
just mostly in name only. And also wanted to make it in Spanish. Actually, first I wanted to make it in French, but then I was like, I don't know how to translate.
Wow.
I was like, I wanted it, so I was like, all right, I'll go with Spanish and
Google
Portuguese.
Translate on set.
Yeah. And then afterwards, I was just like, okay, and let me make him an artist, make him somebody that's kind of like, thinks he's got these like bigger goals, like, you can't tell me. And then it's that scene from Boogie Nights, not the scene, but the cut scene towards the end of Boogie Nights, where it's like long way down, one more stop. So I just kind of thought that he was stuck in that space where he hasn't hit rock bottom yet. He's not. He still has a car. He's still. Yeah, he's basically stuck in that area, and I was like, I'm just gonna make something cool. And when I made it, the thing is, Dominic is an awesome actor, and he was the best actor for the role physically, but he can't order at a taco shop. He has zero Spanish ability.
I mean, I could tell. Yeah, Spanish is a little. Yeah.
So the first cut of that movie, he did his own voiceovers, and so the whole movie was just like. It was just cringy because you couldn't get into it because the voice of Enzo had to be stronger than that. So it got stuck on my laptop as a quick, like to the Snyder Cut. We shot that in 2017, at the end of 2017. So for 3 years, it was just kind of like I would tweak it. I went from black and white to color, back and forth. I was like, and then finally I was like, I just need to change these voiceovers.
And I got 3.
What happened?
Was it ever 4 and 4-3?
No, it wasn't. It went from black and white to color like 6 different times.
Hey, the Martinez cut.
Yeah, the Martinez cut. I will release the gray version at some point after it finishes its festival run. But thankfully, and I'll send you the link, Jose, so you can know what the hell we're talking about. And thankfully, after I redid the voiceovers and just kind of made a last edit, 3 years later, all of a sudden I start submitting it to festivals, and they're like, okay, this time we like it. So I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's steer into it.
Yeah, go ahead. We're talking about stuff that I guess other people have. Oh, I was going to say the voiceover, because you have somebody else do the voiceover, right, for him. Mm-hmm. Like it's an older person, and it added a lot of gravitas to it. It felt like he was speaking to himself in the past, I guess.
Yeah. I got lucky because I did an interview with Jose Iturriaga, who was in Traffic, and he's been like on every. He's locally here. He's a big dude, and I was just like, the festival is in like 6 weeks, and I want to resubmit this film, and can you do the voiceover? And it was like, cool. And then that's it. Like, people give me shit, like, because they're like, oh, you got the movie into the San Diego Latino, or somebody was like, hey, you got the movie into the festival, but you also work with the festival. I was like, you don't understand, man. I submit stuff every year and they reject me. I was like, me doing Q&As for them has nothing to do. I would not want to be accepted unless it was under merit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want that at all. Like, I submit stuff to them. It gets rejected. I got stuff that got rejected last year, and I still did Q&As for them. I still supported them because it's my hometown festival, and stuff. But like, when I get in, it's a fucking bonus, and I'm fucking proud of it. But anyway, I also I want to let you know, because one of the things that I'm gonna do coming up is a Paul Thomas Anderson versus Quentin Tarantino sort of stream.
Oh wow!
Like a verse for verse. Where do you fall
like
on
Battle Royale?
No, but I started thinking that they have similar length film careers, and like I was watching. I got my Hard 8 and the Cooler mixed up because I kept thinking about Hard 8, Paul Thomas Anderson. Mm-hmm. And then the Cooler, and then I started thinking, why do I feel like I've seen this? Okay, Jose has to leave in a second, so I'll get back to this right now with you, Justin. But
I'm gonna get a
but go ahead. But Jose, you guys can follow him at Kuze75. He's done 50 minutes in the costume, and I think that's as much as he can do. So I want to appreciate you coming on and talking to me, brother. You have an open. If there's any other topics, stuff that you feel strongly about as they come up, feel free to hit me up, and we'll get you on, man. Part of the mix, as always.
Sounds good. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, pleasure, Jose.
Justin, and I'll see you around.
Take it easy. Oh, hey, before you leave. Nah, just kidding. I like to do that.
Oh.
I was gonna tell him to do a promo like this is Batman, and you're watching.
Like Anthony do that type of stuff, right? Does Stern do that? Is that a Stern thing too?
What the
hanging up on people or the?
Oh yeah, something like that. But yeah, so I was watching back to our Paul Thomas Anderson, Quentin Tarantino conversation. I was watching. I was thinking about the movie The Hard Eight, and then for some reason I kept waiting for this from this character from the cooler to show up in that. But then he does show up in Magnolia, the actor, and stuff like that. So I started getting So I started getting like these weird. So I had to rewatch them, because it'd been a couple of years, and I watched them back to back. And I actually was thinking about the cooler, and then I watched Hard Eight on Amazon, and then the very next movie that Amazon recommended was the cooler, and I was like, "Get out of my brain!"
That's the algorithm, man.
That's so it wasn't just me that gets those two movies mixed up a little bit, right?
Yeah, it makes sense, and like I feel like Tarantino and P. Anderson have similarities too, right? I feel like I think buddies too, right? They hang out, and so it makes sense.
No, yeah, and if you're watching Hard Eight, you're like, is this? And I'm just trying to figure out when during the Tarantino timeline that movie came out, because is that Paul Thomas Anderson doing like a Tarantino-esque type of thing? Because he's got, he's got Sam Jackson, he's got the whole thing, like, it's a weird. They have weird parallel careers. And then that led me to one of the movies that I have, and I don't know how you feel about this, but Magnolia, which, and my take on Magnolia is that it's Paul Thomas Anderson not knowing what to do with the clout that he had, because I feel like Magnolia was practice for his masterpieces. I don't call it his masterpieces. I don't call it one of his best films. It's hard for me to finish watching it. It feels like Boogie Nights on meth. It feels, you know what I mean? Like, it feels very, and I haven't watched it in several years, and I started to rewatch it again, and I was just like, this is why I don't know. It makes me feel weird. But I feel like Magnolia was practice for Boogie Nights, for The Master, for his other film.
Boogie Nights was before Magnolia.
Really?
So actually, he did Boogie Nights, and then I think Magnolia was his next film. So it was almost like, I think he got the clout. Well, I mean, I don't know how to explain it.
Well, it's like, Tom Cruise. It was like, hey, Tom Cruise will do your movie. Fuck it, sign him up.
Yeah, he left Boogie Nights. Yeah.
Everybody wants to do your movie. So maybe it was a little too much too soon.
Like everywhere in that. I mean, I'll be honest. I love the movie, and it was like one of the first movies that I watched that I was like, I don't know, kind of blew my mind. But like, there's those movies you watch when you're younger, and like, you're just used to Hollywood stuff, and then like you watch like you watch your first, I don't know, Terrence Malick film, and you're like, oh wait, movies can be like this, or you watch a foreign film, and it's like, whoa, this is crazy. And so Magnolia was that for me. So I kind of was like, I had a period where I was hardcore P.T. Anderson, but I don't know, like he's kind of soured on me a little bit. I feel like I don't know, my tastes have changed, and I'd be curious if I watched Magnolia, because it was like a big film for me. And I hadn't seen Boogie Nights at that point too, which is awesome, right? Everybody loves Boogie Nights.
Yeah, Boogie Nights is incredible, but then I felt like there's some tracking shots in Magnolia, like when they're walking around like the TV studio and stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like that he did better in Boogie Nights. So I guess I got the thing. Maybe it was like that Wes Anderson thing where when Wes Anderson was allowed to do anything that he wanted, he's like, well, I'm just gonna make these little vignettes and the camera's gonna move and we're gonna go up and down and stuff like that, because he was like, I can do whatever I want. I got too much power. I got too much money. Whereas with Rushmore, which is my favorite
Right, he
Wes
had-
Anderson movie, it was
Sure.
he still had that indie thing. So I think Magnolia maybe instead of like practice for something, it was maybe like too much too soon.
Let me ask, was it a flex? Was it kind of like the Snyder Cut, you think, maybe, where it's just like he had too much power, like he could do whatever he wanted? Oh, it was
Which
clever.
are you talking? Yeah, Cyro coming in was
Well, you know what I
what?
mean? Like you're talking about how Wes Anderson, like he would, he became like, excessive, I guess, in a way. Or even like with Magnolia, where it's like he did Boogie Nights, and then he just did this kind of like he had Tom Cruise crying, and these crazy tracking shots that it kind of didn't need to happen that made more sense in Boogie Nights and these other movies, and it was just kind of like this, I don't know how to put it, like too big. It didn't need it that big.
It did. It definitely feels show offy. It definitely feels like
Sure.
like I'm not Tarantino. Like I'm my own thing. Like I'm because I mean, if you do Hard Eight, and obviously it's done on an indie budget, but you still have enough skill that people are like, okay, this guy obviously has some skill. We're gonna let him make a movie. You get to do
Right.
Boogie Nights, and you're on top of the world basically after that. So then your next movie, it's like Tom Cruise wants to do it. The entire previous cast wants to be in. And then you're like, all right.
To you to think about that it's like I think he did Boogie Nights when he was like 25 or 26. And it's like, Spielberg does Jaws when he's like 26 or something. And it's just like, how annoying is that to you? It's so annoying to me. Just look back and, you bastards.
I think about it, and it's like, because I consider myself an advocate for filmmakers, and I tell young filmmakers reach out to me all the time, and I'm just like, your first 3 movies are going to suck. But then you're like, well, how about Hard Eight? And you're like, well, yeah. Well, how about this other person that their first film is technically
they're the exception. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't see the shit that they did. Like if somebody comes out with their first film and it's brilliant, it's it feels you're just like like
right.
Like what is it that it's got to be a real interesting set of circumstances, in insider, like a connection or something that allows you to tap into.
I don't know if you ever do this whenever there's like an indie filmmaker that breaks, does a great movie. I'll go on Wikipedia and I'll see like where they grew up and who their parents were, and I'm just that asshole. Like, okay, somebody rich or your uncle was in the film industry and like it was nepotism. Like I'm such a bastard, I guess.
I mean, I guess you can say that about what's this guy's face, Star Wars guy,
Lucas.
With the light flares.
Abrams.
Abrams, right? JJ, You're like, oh, JJ's awesome. JJ's got a great voice, but then you're like, oh, he grew up with Steven Spielberg was his uncle or something. Like he probably got to like play with like the old cameras that they had or something like that, right? Like J.J. Abrams has a weird upbringing where he was like, so it's got to be something like that. Unfortunately, who and who you're connected to is going to obviously.
Yeah. And that just seems to be with everything in life, which sucks. But, that's the way it is, I guess.
So did you not like Phantom Thread?
I was like, I don't know. It's funny. I just watched it recently. My coworkers was telling me about it. Yeah, I thought it was okay. Like, I don't know. What about you? Did you like it? I'll be honest. I mean, like Hard Eight. Funny enough.
For me, it would go The Master, because the tracking shot in The Master where he's going, the first time we see Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he's like walking behind them and he's like rack focusing back and forth to the ship and stuff, is one of my favorite shots of any of his films. So I think, and that's the easiest rewatch for me of his movies. There Will Be Blood, another masterpiece, Boogie Nights, and then Hard Eight. Inherent Vice, Punch Drunk Love, I don't like as much as other people, and Magnolia is like my big like hate watch it. Like I'll watch it, but I'll hate watch it type deal. So that's kind of where it is for me. But Phantom Thread, I was able to watch once during screener season because I found one, and I got through it, and I was like, okay, he's just making beautiful cinema. He's getting a little bit older. He's focusing on other stuff, and he
lit it himself too.
Yeah.
But I know his ex-DP talks shit about it too, actually. He was like, "Oh yeah, he just put filled the rooms full of haze and just pumped light in," which was hilarious.
I don't know. How do you feel about like technology and like 32K cameras and just being able to like point a camera into a room and then figure out your shot later? Does that like depress you? I'll tell you what we did. We were shooting. We were
Okay,
shooting
you have a story. All right, go ahead.
well, no. Well, I'm just saying we were shooting a short called Shenanigans for a competition about 2 years ago,
Okay.
and we're shooting with like an 8K Dragon, right, or something
Okay.
ridiculous, something like right, and we're shooting it. So we're shooting a scene, 2 people, and we shoot the wides, and then we set up for close-ups. And then
Sure.
we set up for close-ups. We shot close-ups. We spent an extra half hour shooting those close-ups. When I sent it to my editor, Paul Jarrett, who's like, I'll edit, because I needed somebody that could edit in 8K. He was like, why'd you guys even shoot close-ups? I was like, he's like, I didn't use your close-up. I just punched in on the shots and didn't lose because we weren't rendering in 8K. Right. We were rendering
doing
like
1080 or something.
Yeah. We didn't need it to be that. So he's like, I just punched in and didn't lose anything, and you couldn't tell the difference, and it was awesome. So I was just like, now, so you know what I mean? So like to me, that's like a little bit like I don't want it to be that easy to make movies. How do you feel?
I mean, I feel the same way to a degree, but it's also like, you look at like all this technology that comes out, and it's, I don't know, you go to a film festival, there's a lot of films that are just, look bad, or they look good. Like, more pixels doesn't mean the lighting is better, right? Or the blocking's better, or, I mean, I guess you can add in like a digital zoom, which it's funny because when me and my cousin John used to make shorts, we would do that type of stuff all the time. We would add dual zoom, or if it was handheld. Oh, yeah, it's here. Speaking of the devil.
He was actually on set. He was actually on set when this was happening, so he understands what I'm talking about.
Yeah, John knows the stuff about that technology stuff. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't make your movie better per se. I think my thing is it's always about intentionality when you're making something. Like, what are you trying to do? You need to know what you're trying to do, because like a lot of people will just shotgun a whole scene and I'll figure it out in the edit room, and but then you get there and it's you kind of don't know what to do again, and it's better and cheaper, I think, to have an explicit kind of, this is what I want to do, this is what we're doing, so I don't think technology necessarily gets you there. It helps you, but yeah, cropping in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everything now is like, let's just point it and then we'll figure it out, and then let's just shoot it in, let's just shoot it raw or whatever, so we can kind of make the color scheme whatever we want. I obviously started doing color correction in camera, obviously at the start, to try to kind of get what you want at the beginning, to save yourself time in post. But I guess it's different for everybody. I mean, I don't know. I think like the fact that, like, if I was shooting a movie today and it was my first indie movie, and my sound showed up and my actors showed up and everybody showed up, but the camera guy didn't,
right?
I would be like, all right, everybody just bust out your cell phones and we'll figure it out. We got good sound, we got our lighting, we got our actors, we got a script. The camera has gone to the bottom of the totem pole because if you're telling me something's going to happen, either sound's not showing up, your lead actor's not showing up, or the camera's not showing up, I'm like, all right, camera doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and our phones shoot 4K, and their dynamic range gets really good on these things, and as long as you light it right, like it can look really good. I've seen some great short films and videos shot on iPhones, and there's whole movies shot on iPhones, right?
Oscar-nominated films.
Which one?
Oscar-nominated. Tangerine, right? What was that movie? Tangerine.
Tangerine.
Yeah.
Yep. It was like an iPhone 4 or 5 or something too. They had that anamorphic thing that you can attach to it that gives it like the look of anamorphic. It's crazy.
Yeah, I said that with like some young filmmakers I was talking to last time, and they're like, I was like, yeah, I would just bust out the camera, bust out your cell phones. Hey, guess what? Now we got a multi-camera shoot. We'll just set up, we'll set up the boom, 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 boom. Everybody make sure you're shooting it.
Why not? That's the new format. Flip cameras.
That the premier Pro ad that shows the guy working in a vertical format, and he's like, and I could just do this, and I'm working in vertical video, and I'm just like, oh my god. Do you think we'll get to a movie that's released that way?
I mean, it depends on where it's being exhibited, right? I mean, I guess if it's like on TikTok, yeah, but movie theaters, like you can't exhibit it that way.
I think maybe Quibi, but Quibi did
right, which died, right? Didn't somebody pick up all their catalog? Somebody bought it.
Somebody has to. It'll start.
I'm just curious if it's going to be on HBO Max, and you can watch it just like the flip video on your TV.
Yeah. It used to be we used to pay for cable, and then cable started to get expensive, and they're like, well, we can cut the cord. But now if you have multiple subscriptions, you're basically paying the same a month as you used to for cable.
Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, you might even be paying more at some point.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, I gotta have Paramount, I gotta have Netflix, I gotta have HBO Max. Another movie that I thought about recently, and I mean, I'm glad that because I already did a lot of Snyder Cut talk, so I'm glad I get to talk films with you. Is that I revisited recently was 13 Assassins, which I was excited about when it came out. Because when I was growing up, like back in the day, it would be like, man, there's this movie called Ichi the Killer, and it's fucking just crazy ass Japanese movie, and you got to see it, right? So then, like later on, cut to me at a Blockbuster, like, oh, Ichi the Killer, I'm gonna rent this movie, or I'm gonna, somebody got a copy for you, and then you're like, man, who the fuck is? And then Audition, I heard about that back in the day, like in the indie scene.
Mike, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and 13 Assassins, I rewatched the other day, and it's crept, I think, into my top 10, man.
Really?
Like I love that movie so much. it's especially as a foreign film that you have to pay. I mean, it's got a 45-minute samurai fight scene. It's got the best parts of like his real hardcore, gory, like in your face sort of, that makes him him. And it's a very interesting story. How do you feel about it in terms of like where it ranks amongst his films or your favorite movies?
Well, actually, I haven't seen 13 Assassins. I remember it being shown. Where'd you see it? Was it like on Shudder? Because I know Shudder carries a lot of his.
Yeah. But no, initially I saw it when it first came out at the Ken. R.I.P. the Ken.
Okay. God, I wish the Ken was still here, man. That breaks my heart.
Well, honestly, once upon a time, we were negotiating with the 10 for Night of 1,000 Burritos, but they're like, you can do it on a Tuesday after midnight, and they were like, and it's $1,000, and we were like, wow. Yeah. I was like, yeah, Night of 1,000 Burritos at midnight on a Tuesday. It was like you can have it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no Friday, no Saturday, no Sunday, because they had like stuff like that. And then Momo was like, you can have Friday night. And we were like, all right, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah, way better. Yeah, I mean, because there wouldn't be that many people when you'd go show up at the Ken. Like, I don't know what they're $1,000. Come on.
2 a.m. 1,000 burritos. Yeah, absolutely, joke line. But no, okay. So you haven't. You should watch 13 Assassins.
13 Assassins. Yeah. Well, I hadn't really seen a lot. I've seen Ichi the Killer, and I just watched another one of his. Yeah, Audition, and
good date night movie.
I just watched him recently, the phone call one that he did, which apparently everyone was like, oh, this is his commercial, wannabe. I guess it was after like The Ring and The Grudge and all that stuff there in Japan. But I gotta write that down, 13 Assassins, because I remember it being advertised. Is this one that Tarantino brought to the States? And I was like, oh, Tarantino presents.
No. I remember specifically that when I heard that he was making it, I was like, dope. And then my friend was like, hey, Takashi Miike's new movie's playing at the Ken this week, and I was like, I'm there. But yeah, I watch it. Let me report back, because honestly, I think it's. I mean, in my if you were telling me like what's some of the movies in your top 10, obviously it's weirder for everybody, but I think that because you got to make space for Godfather 1 and 2 and Goodfellas, and obviously Heat for me, Basquiat, which I think that they should give Jeffrey Wright a retroactive Oscar for, obviously. And then there's some other movies, mixed in there. The Thin Red Line.
Yeah, I was gonna say, have you seen the director's cut of the Thin Red Line?
There's a wait, but what period piece is one of my.
You haven't seen the Malick cut of it?
Is there a Malick? There's a Malick cut of the Thin Red Line.
Well, so like, yeah, he put it out on Criterion, and he did some re-edits. Like he did that with Tree of Life too. I kid you not. And then the one Pocahontas, John Smith one, New World. I think the same thing. Yeah, he's a guy that goes back and tinkers with his films. Like
we're talking about.
Coppola.
We were talking about flexes, but has there ever been a bigger director flex than them coming to him and be like, "Hey, there's this World War II money." He's like, "Yeah, I'll do it in sequence."
Yeah.
They're like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, I'll direct the Thin Red Line, but I get to shoot it in sequence." And he's like, "Isn't that going to take like a bunch of jumping back and forth?" I'm Terrence fucking Malick.
Yeah. And he's like,
right?
"Okay, Adrian Brody, I'll have Adrian Brody be the star." Sure, yeah, we'll have Adrian Brody as star. Shoots the whole movie. At the end, he shows that Adrian Brody is not the star. Was it like a 2 or 3 scenes? Like, and he's in the background. Like, Terrence Malick. Like,
it's like, I did Badlands, motherfucker. Just give me whatever I want. It's like, you want me to come out of retirement? This is what I want. That's the biggest like director's flex, that Snyder's is like down here compared to him.
Yeah. Well, Sean Penn, $1, right? He worked for him for $1, I guess.
Sean Penn,
Thin Red Line. Yeah.
After that, I wasn't as big a fan of the Tree of Life or the one with Batman dude. What was that other one? Is that Tree of Life?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. He did Night of Cups,
yeah.
right? I watched
he did
that
one with Affleck too. Oh, 2 Batmans. Funny enough.
Really?
Yeah. To the Wonder. That's what it's called.
I guess it's kind of like I'm so enthralled with that movie what's his biggest director flex is Lou shooting an 8K for a 48-hour film. That was kind of a big flex. Thank you, Cyro. That is true. I completely forgot what I was saying there. No, but
flexes. Yeah.
I guess that's what's a big movie flex for you, or like a director flex.
I mean, like for me, okay, like that I've done or something on set.
Yeah, well, you did an entire music video in reverse, so let's get that out.
I did in slow motion. Yeah,
in slow motion.
So that was one. I mean, the band loved it. I think. You never know. They're happy with the end product. I will say though, that actually for me, I didn't flex because I wanted to flex because I had this shot with a car going backwards, and I put it in, but the band didn't like it, so I took it out, and I was like, Fernando Garcia, he was editing, and I was like, hey man, just take it out, give him the cut. So hope they don't see this. But
was you were going for like what was that one video where they shot it and they were getting poisoned in it? The police, not that police, the Radiohead. You know what I'm talking about? The Radiohead,
no,
the Radiohead music video that's mostly in the car and it's driving down the street. Who did that?
I would be a way better story if I was saying that I was influenced by a Radiohead story, but no, it was a commercial for Dead Island, the video game, where it's like, I don't know if you saw it, where it's like cutting back and forth. And in fact, I think they did it better because it's going forward in time and then it's going backwards in time and then it meets at this moment. And I originally wanted to do that, but I couldn't figure out what the beginning thing would be. So I just ended up just doing it linearly backwards. So
hey,
yeah,
Nolan. I enjoy that. What are you working on right now, man?
So I'm working on a short. I'm finally like, all right, like our COVID numbers have dropped and everybody's starting to get their shots. So I'm like, okay, cool. Let's start shooting stuff again. So I'm working on a short, and then actually I'm working on a feature too. But that's like raising money. So I'm like going around with cap in hand, trying to find money, which I'm sure is not easy. But I'm working on a friend's short film actually. Called Like Honey, and I know that her casting notices have been going around on Facebook. So anybody interested should check it out. I think it's in the San Diego Facebook groups right now. So shoot Tijuana and La Playas.
Nice.
Ray Gallardo's DP. Yeah, Chris Holloway's producing.
Yeah, Ray's a beast. Razor beast.
He knows his stuff, man.
Who?
Wait, so what are you working on then? No.
I am honestly, I'm
Beyond
trying to.
podcasting. Yeah.
No, I think that podcasting part of it, because I think it's like at a certain point you've built decent enough resume that you got to start thinking a little bit bigger. So we did a couple of competition films towards over the last couple of years, just because like people come to me and they're like, let's do this competition, and then I'm like, no, and then I'm like, fine, let's do it, fuck it, whatever.
It's like a social activity. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, sometimes good stuff comes out of it, like, and I understand that, but I also was getting into the habit of working of I like the fact that people trust me with their time and their talent, where they buy into my ideas, and they realize that I'm actually going to get some shit done, and they're like, we'll work for you for free. You know, I will provide music to you for free. I will act in your movies for free. I mean, I'm going to feed everybody right. I'm going to get them their footage, but I never took that for granted. And I felt that some people build their filmmaking portfolios around competitions because you can ask people to work for you for free without feeling bad about it, you know?
Right.
So my thought process shifted from, I got to just stop taking advantage of this, because if I said tomorrow I'm filming something, blah, blah, people will be like, I'll do it. And I don't want to, and I feel like I need to move on. I need to move on to the next stage. So I figured, okay, right now I just want to finish up the projects that I have that got stuck. And Ladron, The Bicycle Thief, was one of them that was like, we shot it. I did a quick edit because I did it for the worst reason possible. But it was because a festival was coming up, and I was like, I want to get it done. It got rejected everywhere. I realized that it sucked, and then it got stuck in my Premiere Pro folder for 2 years. Pandemic hits, and I'm like, let me open up some of these little projects. I got some time. So I have 3 or 4 projects like that I want to close the loop on. And now it's like, oh, pandemic's almost over. But I still think I want to finish those, because the next stage for 2AM Burrito is representation. So I figured we've done enough things that my question to everybody is like, hey, will you tell your agent about me? You know, or like there's this wave of like, Netflix is like 0.9% of our content is Latinx based, and we're trying to fix it. And I'm like, just let me direct something. And the nibbles that we've gotten have been literally like Fox, HBO, and they were like, well, why don't you just uproot your life, go to Georgia for 6 weeks, and you can shadow a showrunner or a writer's assistant, and you can, or on this little show, and you can kind of see what it takes to be a director. And I'm like, no, I just want to sit down and tell you about a movie I want to make. I was like, so I feel like that stuff is out there, but it's for like, you know, I take care of my 90-year-old dad. I have dogs. I have a house.
Right.
Like I can't get up and go to
uproot
Vancouver for 2 months on a stipend so I can sit behind somebody, or so I can sit in a writing room where,
and even still you're rolling the dice. Yeah. Because they may not, you know, maybe it doesn't work out still, and it's like, so that I just quit my job. Yeah.
So that you can then say, hey, we have a writing assistant's job in LA, and it pays, you know, $32,000 a year, and I'm like, I make twice that much at my day job without, you know, at my part-time day job. Like I don't, you know what I mean? So I feel like there's this push where it's like, there's these programs, but they're good for young kids. And I love the fact that there's tons of like minorities, Latinas, women, everything that are getting put there, because we need more stories, right? But at the same time, I feel like I'm just judged against any other filmmaker. Like I just want to get hired to be like the B unit director on something, you know? Like I just need professional work. Like I feel like I've built enough that I can be like, yeah, I can prove to you that if you give me some money, I will turn that movie into a product. You know what I mean? Like I can, you know, I know sound people. I know, like, if they're like, Lou, here it is. I was like, cool. If I'm producing something, I'm like, all right, I got Justin that can direct for me. I got Ray that can direct for me. I got these people. I got these people for sound. I can, if it's something artsy, maybe I'll fucking hire Oscar to do it. If it's something like this, you know what I mean? Like I have a network. So I think my transition has to go from I still want to work on stuff, but I want to make sure that if I work on something, I'm investing money or I'm getting it financed myself, because I don't want to take advantage of people's time and their work. And then number two, finish up the intellectual properties that I already have, so that when that eventual actual meeting happens, I'll be like, oh, what do you want? You want a vampire stoner comedy? You want some artsy stuff? You want this movie that we made, Blacklisted, that's 2.5 hours, but that it's actually a story one arc that we can make into like an 8-part TV show. Like what do you need? Like that's kind of where I'm feeling. Sorry for the long tangent, everybody.
No, man.
but does that make sense though, in terms of like
No,
as a
it
director?
does. Well, and it's just like, yeah, it's funny because like I'm in the same place where, and I haven't directed something in like it's been years. I mean, since like anything narrative. I mean, I guess the music video kind of counts, but that even still, that was a few years ago. So I'm just trying to figure out whether I still have it or I can still direct. I mean, I know I can, but like I'm like I gotta do the short before I can really go back into the waters of trying to figure out a feature film. But like you, it's just like, where do you find the money? Who do you talk to? And it's that network thing that you gotta lean on, which is something I'm not very good at. So.
But you're somebody also that's very, I believe, technically gifted. I mean, obviously you know more about lights and shit than I'll ever want to know. But
although maybe I'm actually going to be lighting a film soon. Actually, Tony Olmos is working on something that I'm going to help on.
Well, what I meant to say is when I first started, and 2AM Burrito, this is a good segue for this, but 2AM Burrito is celebrating its 10-year anniversary.
Nice.
I dropped
Everybody
out of
gets burritos.
School. Everybody gets burritos. I dropped out of film school in where'd you go, Justin? There you go. All right. Sorry. No. All right. I dropped out of film school sometime in the late 90s, and for a long time I just talked about being a filmmaker. Then I was in San Diego. 10 years ago, me and my writing partner Brian created 2AM Burrito. We're celebrating our 10th year. And if you want to know anything else about us, go to 2amburrito.com, where you can click on all these little beautiful links here. That'll take you to different places where you can listen to our podcast. You want to hear me and Justin talking audio version only? There it is. You want to go see what kind of stuff I tweet about? There I am. You want to go to our YouTube channel? Oh my God, there it is. So easy. Technology, isn't it grand? The bio. Here it is, our biographies, the filmography. Oh my God, so many movies.
Yeah, that was good. I need to get a website.
You do. I mean, it's this is just a Wix site, but I've been playing around with it. But so we've been doing this for 10 years. We just need to like kind of get to that next level. But like I said, when I started 10 years ago, and after a couple of years of being in the scene, and then I saw some of the stuff that you were doing when you started out, and I was like, this guy's doing like crane shots and jibs, and he's doing all this like fancy stuff.
Done.
So
yeah.
But I was like, wow, okay, it was what I wanted Blacklisted to match in terms of production quality. That was my goal. I was seeing what was kind of around. We made our first couple of movies. You can call them indie, mumblecore, whatever. We were just kind of doing our thing. I was doing everything myself. And I was like, okay, we need to take the next step up. And then that was the next step up. And then after that, it was more and more stuff. And I did my first full feature, second feature, blah, blah, blah. But I feel you either have to, A, know somebody that'll get you a meeting, like a J.J. Abrams. Yep. You either, B, have to just crush the festival circuit. You have to like just crush the festival circuit, which will inevitably get people getting, you need to win some prestigious award. You need to go viral with something different to get people to you. Or you need to just self-finance your art and just put yourself out there. But the system still runs on agents being the gatekeeper to most of those meetings, right? You can be like the guy that did that drone shot in the bowling alley, and all of a sudden James Gunn sees it on Twitter, and he's like, "Hey man, can you come to you want to come to the set of Guardians in London?" And I guarantee you, yeah, the James Gunn, like it got retweeted so many times. It got to James Gunn. He's like, "Hey man, I'm inviting you to come on set for Guardians." He's like, "You're talented." So obviously, the next Guardians is going to have some sort of elaborate drone intro, right? Right.
It's just the behind the scenes shot of like, oh, look at everybody here, and it's just like flying around the set.
Yeah. So I think we're both sort of in that lane of we're just going to have to keep trying to self-finance, keep just trying to put, product. But I just think that I'm at the point where I'm not trying to spit out product like I was. Like I was just
I'm the same exact place. Yeah.
Like I don't need to just be like every competition, everything. Like I'm just like, okay, I'm okay. Like I feel comfortable enough in my body at work that I can talk to somebody, and I feel confident. Obviously, I got the gift of gab. I can talk forever, but I can get into a room. I can probably sell myself.
Yeah. Well, no, and it's things like just cranking out stuff is not. That's not what I want to do either. That's like a short that I'm planning on doing. I have a feature written attached to it. So, hey, if it gets into a film festival somewhere, I can say, hey, well, this is attached to this feature-length script. It's low budget, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, okay, I can try to sell it that way.
That's the biggest piece of advice that they give you. Why don't you make a short version of your favorite, And I'm just like,
right.
because I've
It's
talked
hard,
to people
man.
I've talked to so many people like celebrities, writers and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I have a good conversation with them. And I talk to them. I say, hey, listen, man, here's the question. Will you tell your agent about me? That's it. That's all I want to know. Don't tell me all you should do is you should keep making but keep at it. I'm like, yeah, I understand, man. But the agent and management are still the gatekeepers. So I think unless people address that and make it so that it's not just a festival pipeline, I guess it's the only thing that.
Well, even that, I feel like at this point, I feel like people who get into Sundance know somebody at Sundance. Like it's that system is still a little, you have to know somebody.
It's still it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt, man. Well, I know that based on the people that are kind of in our little group of filmmakers and stuff like that, I think that one of us will win an Oscar at some point, right? But I mean, just basically on math, based on the math alone.
Yeah.
Based on the math alone.
Exactly. Yeah. It's percentages.
Best lighting in a feature, Justin Burquist.
Yeah.
The Justin Burquist story.
I gotta figure that light.
Also, we did a free money alert the other day. The Sound of Metal is nominated for best sound editing. So if you can find a site that'll let you bet on best sound award, bet all your crypto money on the Sound of Metal winning. Just go ahead and thank me later, and I'll take a 10% cut of whatever profit you make. Nice. All right, I have one. I want to do a bracket with you before I let you go, and then, but I did want to give you a chance to defend Sucker Punch. We had this conversation a long time ago. My thought process is that Sucker Punch sucks. Snyder loves slow motion and horrible cover songs, and they're both on display in this movie. But you had this convoluted take of that the movie was talking about something else, or it had this deeper meaning that we didn't get. Do you still feel the same way? I'm giving you a chance on the record to correct this. Tell me.
How do I not sound like a pretentious ass when I describe the deep subtext of Sucker Punch?
Sucker Punch is a movie that film boys like to say it's important.
This is the scene in Goodfellas where I'm getting made and I'm walking in the room and then you're hiding behind the door and you're No. Like my thing is like what is how do I put it? Like there's Fulci films that I like, and sometimes you can watch a film that has a terrible story, whatever terrible means. I don't even know what terrible acting means. You look back at Bresson films, and he would just get ordinary people to play in his films, and it's like their acting was very wooden. It was very bad acting, but he would do that on purpose. And so I just feel like there's a purpose behind the film that maybe people aren't thinking about. That it's I watched Six Underground, Michael Bay's new film. Did you watch it on Netflix?
Okay. No, I haven't. Oh, wait, yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
You gotta watch it, but if you watch the film, I'm gonna spoil a little bit, but the first thing they do is they get an eyeball, right? And then later on, they go to another heist type scenario, and then they put laughing gas with to incapacitate everybody, and then they use sound, it's literally the THX sound thing that like blows all the glass.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like I know that there's like some subtextual type thing going on there, and it's like Ryan or oh God, who is it? You know, Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds.
Right.
Ryan Reynolds is a rich guy, like kind of a rich asshole, has a bunch of money, that's bringing this team together to do this thing, right? He's also an orphan in the film, right? And Michael Bay's an orphan, and I'm like, there's like totally some subtext. He's like doing this riff off of, this is what I do. I bring these people together. I'm rich. We go out. We do these things. We use sound. We need to get eyeballs. And I'm like, all right, it's interesting to me. Like for some people, it's just like, you know, they don't even care, you know. But it's like, to me, that's the stuff that I find interesting about film. And so like Sucker Punch, it opens. She's on a stage. Is she just on stage arbitrarily? I don't. I think Snyder does a lot of his stuff intentionally, and that's why, like, I think you watch that movie and you start to hear lines, and you know, don't get me wrong, it's a crazy movie. I can't even believe it got made, which to me is awesome, you know. But if you want a long defense of it, like, there's going to be a bar and there's going to be a bottle of something in front of us. And I'll do it. I'll do it. You name the bar, and you pay for my Uber, and we'll drain a bottle, and I'll explain the whole movie.
It was post COVID, absolutely.
Right.
You got it. No, well, I guess again, Snyder likes to flex, man. He loves slow motion. He loves crappy cover songs.
He's a ballsy guy, man. Yeah.
He's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it, man. I hope that once I get my shot to direct something with a bigger budget, I keep my balls and I keep my jokes in, or whatever the hell it is that I have to do,
right.
You know, to get that.
And you have better cover songs.
Yeah. So one of the things that I like to do with my guest, Justin, is we do something called a bracket bit. Bracket is where I create a bracket of this or that for you. You make the choices based on whatever criteria you have. So basically, sure. I will give you what I've chosen for you guys today. For you is ultimate superhero movie showdown. So these are some of my favorite, or some of the more entrenched favorite superhero movies of all time. And I'm going to give you two of them, and you tell me. Now, the good thing about the bracket bit is I create it for maximum pain and for scientific purposes. And I create the bracket, but you solve it. So you can tell me, your criteria can be whatever you want. Which movie you would have rather directed, which movie you would watch over and over, which movie you would watch right now if you had to choose between the two, which one has better lighting, whatever you want, all right? But you decide, all right? So, ladies and gentlemen, It is time for everybody's favorite bit, bracket bit.
Bracket bit.
One of my favorite things is watching people's reaction to my graphics and stuff here at the bottom.
I wondered if you could see my face when I was watching it, because it was weird. It was like simultaneously great production value and simultaneously bad production value. And I was like, I like this mix. It's interesting. Yeah.
That was one take. I told my boy Kurt, who does a lot of the music for us. I said, I want something from. Yeah. He was like, I was like, I want something like Wayne's World. Woo, woo, woo. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then he's like, cool. He's like, just record the vocals for it. So I grabbed my phone 2 seconds later and I just did it, and I sent it to him. He's like, all right, I'll work with that. And then Jovi Olivas did the remaster. She added after, so it was actually a collaborative effort to make that.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Hey, man. When I was like 15 years old, I read the book, The Collaborative Art of Filmmaking, and that really explained the process, man, of what it takes to make a good movie. It takes a lot of collaboration. Yeah, it's a good book. Totally. They basically took the Dead Poet Society, and it's interviews which like the producers, the actors, the director, the writer, the cinematographer, everything. So it's an entire book dedicated. Cool. Yeah, so it's the whole Dead Poet Society and kind of what anyway, I won't spoil it for you, but it's a good book about filmmaking that I always recommend. That and the Uta Hagen book for actors. All right, so today, Justin Burquist, Snyder fanboy number 1, coming into the house to talk about the Snyder Cut as well as talk about the I don't know, movies and shit we talked about. But now it's time for
Tarantino.
P.T. Anderson versus Tarantino on a future pod. But now let's get into it, man. I'm going to give you 2 superhero movies, and you tell me which one moves on to the next round. In the first round matchup, we have Spider-Man Into the Multiverse versus the Avengers.
Is the multiverse the new one? That's
the
the
Morales, Miles
I gotta
Morales.
Go Avengers.
You like that one? All right, Hellboy.
I thought it was right.
Hellboy or Kick-Ass?
Which Hellboy? Del Toro's or Neil Marshall's?
I'm in this one. Usually when I put up 2 different, see, I got to put my black screen up for my lighting purposes, so I'm not blown out.
Sure.
But
You look like me.
But I would have in this one. I usually use them as a pair. So the Avengers would be all the Avenger movies, the actual Avenger movies, and Hellboy would be a
Then I go Hellboy.
Hellboy. All right. RoboCop or The Incredibles. Incredibles.
You put RoboCop as a I guess he's comic book, right? Yeah. RoboCop. RoboCop.
The Crow or Logan.
Logan.
And Logan, I mean, is the best done R-rated comic book movie, right? Other than maybe The Dark Knight and then right? You think?
Maybe.
Like as far as the hard R.
Black White edition. Yeah, I mean,
Logan?
that's the thing is like any R-rated comic book movie, I'm like, oh, cool, finally they're making it for adults. Yeah, there's a black and white edition of Logan too.
Now that slow motion Logan scene where he's like stab like that is that's some good ass slow motion. I'm just saying, just putting it out there.
I agree completely.
Logan moves on. All right, we got The Mask, Jim Carrey, versus the Captain America series, Winter Soldier, First Avenger.
Series. Yeah, the fact you say series, because if it's just the first one, I'd go Mask. I guess Captain America. Yeah. Oh, that one's kind of for me.
Captain America. All right, Jim Carrey's a beast, man, and The Mask is a
Man of Steel. Bring the Mask back. Yeah, I want Mask.
All right,
Cameron
Mask.
Diaz?
All right.
Oh
yeah, absolutely, Man of Steel versus origin stories for different trilogies. Batman Begins or Man of Steel?
I gotta go Man of Steel. Yeah, Nolan kind of soured on me through the years.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
The Batman animated movie, Mask of the Fat Man. Got it. Sorry. Yeah. It's Freudian slip there. Mask of the Phantasm or Black Panther?
I go Black Panther.
Iron Man, which began the Phase 1, or Justice League?
Is that Justice League or is that
That's Justice League?
That's Justice League?
Yeah,
okay, then definitely go Iron Man.
All right, Thor Ragnarok. In some cases, I pick individual films. In some cases, I pick the series. So it's my bracket. I do what I want. Thor Ragnarok or Batman v Superman?
Oh man, you know what's crazy? And I know everyone's gonna hate me, but I still have yet to see Thor Ragnarok, so I gotta go Batman v Superman. After the first 10 movies, I kind of pulled out in the Marvel universe. I just pop in here and there. I still haven't seen Infinity War, which is probably on here, right? Yeah, I know. I tried to watch it one night and I was a little drunk. I was like, I couldn't because I just didn't know what was happening.
Sorry, let me catch up with some comments here because David Raines popped in. Thank you. The best R-rated comic adaptation is probably Blade.
Oh, Blade's great. If Marvel turns a new Blade PG-13, I'm gonna be so irritated. Well, David's wrong there.
Snyder does not understand Superman.
I guess I don't understand Superman either.
Yeah, I agree, David. If you heard the previous version with Crystal, the part 1 of this is interesting because that whole "Pa can't let me die in the tornado" thing does not sit well with her at all. Okay, all right, okay, all right. Like I said, Mr. Raines, the bracket is I create the bracket. My guess. All right, we're gonna put you down then, Mr. Raines. But you're actually, you're invited to come talk movies on the pod at your leisure, man. So where were we at? Batman v Superman or Thor Ragnarok? Oh no, what I was gonna say to you, side note, is I watched one of his other films, The Search for the Wild Beast or something that was like in New Zealand.
Oh,
It was about
Tychus? I
yeah.
haven't seen it. I heard it's great. I only seen the What We Do in the Shadows, which I loved, which is fantastic. But yeah, Ray talks a lot about, I think, that movie. And so it's like in my queue somewhere. I gotta
Yeah,
watch
it's
it.
called like Search for the Wild Beast or Search for the something beast, and it's one of his films that he did like in New Zealand or Australia, and I actually really enjoyed it. All right, so
Nice.
next up we got Lego Batman versus The Dark Knight.
I gotta go Dark Knight.
Really? All right, let me go here.
Are you a Nolan fan, or are you on him? What's your take on
I
Nolan?
yeah, Hunt for the Wilder People. Yes, thank you, David. I think I mean, I love The Dark Knight, and I also Inception. I can easily rewatch. So I mean, I'm in. I take him over Snyder any day, honestly, myself. Although I also think he
Really?
gets. Yeah, I mean, I took my nephew to watch. What was the World War
Dunkirk?
II movie? Yeah, Dunkirk.
Yeah, Dunkirk.
And he was like not happy, and I was like, no, you gotta understand. And I was just like, you say. Cyro says he's a sophisticated Michael Bay. Okay, like, all right, I can get that. I think, were you there at Comic-Con that year where I Michael Bay, or was that?
No.
Were we not?
How did you
okay.
Michael Bay? Did you blow him up?
No, well, yeah, essentially. So we were at Comic-Con, and we were at one of the hotels at the Bayfront or something like that, and we're in this kind of area that we got into, and we're just walking around, and I got to use the bathroom, something awful, man. So I go into the bathroom, and I blow it up like 2 a.m. burrito style, and
Right,
apparently, Jose, David was on for the first like 45 minutes in full Batman costume, so you can cruise back and check out the yeah, he looked good. So I'm in there blowing it up to burrito style at Comic-Con. Everybody that I'm with is outside, and apparently since we were like in this VIP area, Michael Bay was there, and it was Transformers or something that he was promoting, and he went into the bathroom after me. And I guess he came out like 2 minutes later. He like came out. So he came out looking for another bathroom somewhere, and they're like, "Dude, you just Michael Bay." I was like, "What?" I would have passed my little. Like thing underneath the thing. Like, "Hey, man, can I get 2 square? Can I get 2 squares in an autograph?" All right. Anyway, that's my Michael Bay story. All right, moving on with the. Moving on with the bracket here. The next matchup brings Deadpool versus Wonder Woman.
Oh, Deadpool.
Blade.
Oh, this is a hard one.
The Spider-Man Sam Raimi.
Yeah, I always thought that, like, to me, like, those are some of the best Marvel films, even though I'm sure everyone hates the third one. Let's go Blade. We got to go Blade.
Blade. Hey, man, you got to go Blade
too, right? I mean, that third one, I got to rewatch that third one to see if I really didn't like it.
Guardians or Unbreakable? How did you feel about like the Mr. Glass and the tying those 3 movies together?
Yeah, I liked it, but I didn't love it. Like it was odd. It was kind of a strange movie. Did you dig it?
I liked it, but I liked it, but I thought the last movie had a lot of that third Matrix in it, where it had that conversation with the dude that just like never ended, and so some of those like interrogation or those therapy scenes just took forever.
Dragged for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he MacGuffined the whole. He like red herrings, or he MacGuffins the entire ending, where you're like, it's gonna end at this fancy building, and it's like, nah, it's gonna be in a parking lot with a puddle.
Yeah, it felt a little Deus Ex Machina in a way at the end. I think I'm gonna go Unbreakable though, because like Unbreakable was a big movie for me.
The original Unbreakable is good. Guardians is a little funnier, but not a bad choice.
And I like Guardians. I did.
You did like Guardians. All right, so Unbreakable moves on. X-Men Days of Future Past or the X-Men original?
So that's like X2. That's the Singer ones, right? And then think about the Ratner version. I got to go X-Men OG.
X-Men OG. Watchmen. Oh wait, Unbreakable. Let me move Unbreakable. Watchmen. There's another one here of your favorite director's favorite director. Watchmen.
Yeah, 3 cuts.
Or the Tim Burton Batman.
Oh, I see you setting me up here. I see it. Yeah, okay, go Watchmen.
Watchmen. All right, and then we have the Snyder
Cut. Yeah.
Snyder Cut or Donner Cut.
That's the big battle right there, Watchmen versus Snyder Cut for me. But I think I already know which one I got to go with. Snyder Cut. Snyder Cut.
Watchmen is unwatchable. Here's a question. Here's a Watchmen. Here's a Watchmen. Oh, hold on a second. See if I can. Never mind. I haven't been invited. I found there's a Dr. Manhattan M&M hybrid shirt.
What? An M&M hybrid shirt for Dr. Manhattan?
Yeah, there's
an M&M that can't feel empathy.
No, I have to share this for you. So you're definitely going. You said Snyder Cut over Donner Cut.
Mm-hmm.
Now, David says Watchmen is unwatchable. How do you feel about that? Why do people feel so strongly about that?
Angry. I don't know. I mean, I read the graphic novel before I even watched the movie, so I actually thought the getting rid of the octopus was genius and turning it to Dr. Manhattan. I was like, that was way better for me, and like especially for a 3-hour movie. Yeah, but I don't. I mean, he's a very divisive guy for some reason, and I maybe just because it's like that's a movie he was very like respectful to the material, I would say, and in fact elevated it to a degree. I mean, I get people like hating, Batman's killing people. Like, to me, I don't really care about that stuff. Superman snapping somebody's neck. I was like, oh man, this is interesting. Superman just snapped somebody's neck. But I get that some people like it's sacrilegious to what they believe the character is.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I kind of get. It kind of depends on what you. All right, here's the shirt. All right, so we have a segment called "Should I Buy This T-Shirt?"
Dr. Michigan T-shirt. Oh yeah, you should definitely buy it.
All right, so it's like a Dr. Manhattan, but M&M, and he's Dr. Michigan, but he's blue. But it's M&M.
I was thinking M&M like M&M candy, but M&M. Yeah, buy that. That's a good one.
That's a nice shirt. That's a nice
yes.
shirt. All right, so I vote yes.
Pink.
Yeah, that's a nice one. That's a nice one. This has been Should I Buy This Shirt? All right, so we're back to it. So the Snyder Cut moves on.
A theme song for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't tempt me.
I'm saying it's a bit.
It's a bit. I have started doing a bit. All right, so we get into the second round, live with Justin Burquist from the Burrito Lounge. Here he goes. David says I was worried I was going to see Eminem's dong. Yeah, I know. That's on the back of the T-shirt. On the front is the Eminem thing, and on the back is just a big blue dick on the back. So
and it's in slow motion.
It's in slow motion dick coming at you. All right, so now we're moving on to the next round: The Avengers versus Hellboy.
Hellboy. I really love Neil Marshall's Hellboy, actually. And Del Toro's is great too.
RoboCop versus Logan.
I gotta go RoboCop.
RoboCop is that's
I just watched it. I was doing a Verhoeven kick because like he's done some really great movies. He's another guy that I feel like people don't get his tone right. Everyone thought Starship Troopers was like serious and Showgirls and all that.
Absolutely. Do you go down these like directs? Because like I went down the Miike rabbit hole the other day, where it's like you go watch one movie.
Yeah.
You watch one movie and then you're like, man, what haven't I seen of his? Let me look up his entire filmography. All right, let me see. Let me watch 2 or 3 more of them. Do you find yourself doing that with different directors at time?
Oh yeah. I mean, like right now I'm doing like a big Agnes Varda kind of watch because I'm a big fan of hers. And I just got the Wong Kar-wai box set Criterion, which was it was like $160. And it's got like it's got like is it 7 or 8 of his films, and like they're 4K transfers, and he supervised them all. And I'm like, I'm gonna walk through his filmography again. Like for me, like a lot of these movies, like I don't really look at it as movies. It's like the records kind of, but I'm like that type of guy. But I guess a lot of people don't think like that. But
No, definitely. I can get caught up in wanting to like learn more about a certain director and stuff like that. Like I was like, okay, let me, and then I try to just kind of, like with Paul Thomas Anderson, I was like, why don't I like Magnolia?
Yeah,
Why am I
exactly.
that guy? All right, moving on. RoboCop over
Logan.
over
Yeah.
Logan.
Yeah, Starship Troopers is fantastic.
Absolutely, and some people don't even realize that it's kind of like a parody,
satire.
or like satire. They're just like they take it too seriously. The Mask versus Man of Steel.
This is a little more. We'll go Man of Steel. David's not going with that one.
What's going on?
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. All right.
Are you coding now? Look like you were.
No, because hold on a second. Give me. Where's the? Is this it? No, this isn't it.
Okay. Target 420.
Never mind. I have a beat that my boy made for. All right, this is it. This is it right here. Hold on. You hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Now we got some game show music going.
All right.
All right. Now we're back into it. This is it. Black Panther or Iron Man?
Iron Man.
And
that's all the Iron Mans, huh?
Yeah, that's the 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, it's funny because like Black Panther is one that I watched outside of the. I was like, I don't know how many movies behind. But I really like Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 is underrated.
Yeah, I'll go Iron Man. That's a tough one, though.
Batman v Superman or The Dark Knight?
Batman v Superman. Yeah,
really?
Dark Knight's. I rewatched it recently, and I was like some of the comedy, and anytime Bale does his voice, it's like, why would you guys do this? What was the directorial thing? Oh well.
Yeah. All right. This is a good matchup. I feel. Blade versus Deadpool.
Yeah, you set these up good. I'm gonna go Blade. I'm going Blade.
Blade.
Yeah, Blade 2 is a big one for me, man. Toro, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Deadpool 2 kind of drops off a little bit, like.
Yeah, like I really like the first half of most of those movies, and then it just kind of falls off the map for me a little
too wink wink, nudge nudge.
Yeah, it's like at some point like they try to get serious about it, but you've been like that's what was good about the second one. It's jokey the whole time, and then at the end, I'm supposed to be scared for his girlfriend,
I think also the way that these movies, put the weight of characters actually dying versus nobody dies, is different.
Sure.
Like how Star Wars, the last Star Wars was like Chewbacca might be dead, and then 2 seconds later it's like, no, just kidding, Chewbacca's not dead. Right. Chewbacca will never die. You can always buy Chewbacca toys. Chewbacca exists forever. Chewbacca never dies.
Yeah.
And then in Guardians, they're like, we're actually going to kill somebody of substance here, and you're going to feel a certain type of way about it. And then, I don't know. And then, obviously, the Iron Man full circle is one of my favorite movie stuff, because that entire I am Iron Man at the end of Iron Man 1 and I am Iron Man, at the end of another movie sort of brings that entire story.
Because he dies right at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on, man. You're not going to avoid spoilers 2 years later,
Yeah.
Yeah, he says I am Iron Man at the end of the first movie, and he says I am Iron Man at the end of the other movie. So I think that, and I don't know, if nobody can ever die in your universe, it just feels like
right.
What are the stakes? So you going?
Sure.
So you said Blade, right? Correct.
Yeah.
All right, and then we're almost to the end here. Unbreakable versus the original X-Men.
Unbreakable versus the original X-Men. I go X-Men OG.
And then here to pull at your heartstring, Watchmen.
Yeah, Watchmen.
So Watchmen, but so you weren't super impressed with the Snyder Cut in as much as like did you jump on it because you were like to represent and to like back up your director, or because you don't seem to be
No,
like
I mean, I really enjoyed it. The thing is, like, I mean, the depth I find in Watchmen or like Batman v Superman, like, I don't see it as much in the Snyder Cut. I think for Snyder Cut, he was like, it just doesn't have, I don't know, at least I didn't get the subtextual kind of stuff that I was getting in the movies. And I just felt like he was trying to do a popcorn film in a way, you know, in almost 4 hours long. But
so from the beginning, you felt like even if he had had his original vision at the beginning, you think you would have felt the same way about it. The fact that he got to redo it, good for him, but it doesn't really change how you feel the overall, right?
yeah. I mean,
Okay.
because I felt like what he would have. I think what happened was after Batman v Superman, he was in a bad spot. The studio was. I mean, obviously, right? They brought in Whedon to kind of chop it up and add a bunch of stuff, and so I think he realized, oh, the kind of God stuff that he was doing. I mean, a little bit of it sneaks through, but like the subtextual stuff just kind of like falls away in the Snyder Cut. Like, you know, like, I mean, you get that Icelandic dirge, and it's like, you know, you get these acts of worship within his movies with like Batman v Superman, where there's the Day of the Dead thing in Mexico. Then you get the Icelandic thing where they're kind of like praying to him in a weird way. And like, I know that was like his bit, that like, oh, you know, these are like Greek gods. These are gods amongst people. And that was what, you know, the whole question in Batman v Superman. And so I felt like he pulled back on that. Yeah, you editing it?
Yeah, for some reason I was trying to close Premiere,
Adobe
but I forgot it was on
getting
my
you?
yeah. No, I get I'm
Monthly
actually
subscription.
I don't know, man. Hey Adobe, how you doing? Don't check on me. No, I feel what you're saying. Like, I feel like what you're saying is like in that you wanted more. You wanted him to stick to his original guns, right? You know,
Yeah,
like,
which everybody hated, so it's kind of like I can't, you know, be too irritated about it. But I really love the film. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Making sure, but it doesn't. But not better than Watchmen for you.
No, I mean, Watchmen is like the movie, and I guess the graphic novel that would like end superheroes, right? It kind of shows their, I don't know, stupidity of their existence and the flaws of them, and so like it's almost something that tears down, deconstructs everything, and that's what is fascinating to me about the movie. It kind of ends superhero films in a way, you know. And I know they're kind of doing that on what FX, The Boys is kind of something similar in a way.
Yeah,
kind of like assholes. Yeah.
One of the things Crystal said that was interesting, because I was like, should I watch The Boys first or should I watch Cobra Kai? And they're like, you should watch The Boys. And they said it's what Lex Luthor would make if he was making a show to tell people how he feels about superheroes. He's like, that's what The Boys. That's what The Boys would be. He's like, imagine if that would be a Lex produced Luthor Productions, you know, kind of thing.
By Lex Luthor. I like it.
Produced by Lex,
executive producer.
All right, so we got to our final 8 here, Mr. Burquist. We're almost done. Knocking out the bracket bid here. We got Hellboy versus RoboCop.
RoboCop.
RoboCop. All right. David seems to feel the Incredibles.
Actually, it's funny. The Incredibles is another deconstruction of superheroes too. A lot of people say.
Absolutely.
I do love the Incredibles.
Man of Steel or Iron Man?
Oh, Man of Steel.
Batman v Superman versus Blade.
I'm gonna go Batman v Superman.
And the original X-Men versus Watchmen.
Watchmen.
All right, we're down to our final 4. 3 of them directed. 3 of them directed by the same person. So you have. I
can already tell you which one's gonna win here.
You have proven yourself as a Snyder fanboy. You can resubmit to the executive program.
What do I win?
What has he won, Zack Snyder? All right, so let's get to it. RoboCop or Man of Steel?
Well, actually, I'm probably gonna go RoboCop on that one.
RoboCop, strong showing,
dude. It's a damn good movie, and it's very subversive. I feel like. And then I got to go Watchmen over Batman v Superman.
And then in the end,
Watchmen. Yeah.
Watchmen.
Director's cut, not the the.
There's a director's cut of.
Yeah, man. It's got the night owl gets killed, and it's just like these guys beat him to death with a trophy, and the trophy is titled "Ingratitude." It's hilarious.
Yeah, I don't think. I think you
You can
lost
ask
me.
David. Oh, go ahead.
So you're
I was
gonna
going
pick
to say
Washington.
RoboCop or Incredibles.
Yeah. What
David.
about David? The shoe's on the other foot now. What would you pick if it was RoboCop versus The Incredibles in the final? Let's see what he
I
says.
think he's going to go.
You think he's gonna go RoboCop? Well, he already said The Incredibles should be given the
Yeah, I
crown
think The
here by default.
Incredibles, I guess, would be the one.
That might have been his final. So Mr. Burquist, thank you for coming on the pod stream today, man. He said The Incredibles. Come on, yeah, The Incredibles. Yeah,
Knew
you're
it.
right. I think so. I think for me, it probably would have. I mean, The Crow holds a special place. Logan, I think, is awesome. The Iron Man movies are really good. You know, the Dark Knight trilogy is awesome.
I mean,
Unbreakable is
pretty
good.
good that you had in there.
Yeah, no, well, I think we're in a great era for where the technology and the science of filmmaking is reaching, because how many times have they tried to make superhero movies in the 60s and 70s? They
Right.
were all super campy and goofy because of the costumes they had to wear. You almost feel like in the like the sci-fi films, the Ed Wood stuff, like with the pies, Actually, David, I had Road Perdition on another thing because I found out that it was
It's a good
based on a
movie.
graphic novel. It is that, and so, but I kind of went with more of the more traditional sci-fi.
I would say I
yeah,
think the ASC voted Road to Perdition as one of the most beautifully photographed films as far as cinematography goes one year.
yeah, that's a movie that you watch once and then you don't realize. There's movies that you watch once and then later on you're like, man, I didn't realize that movie was so important. That's
Good movie.
another.
Yeah. Graphic novel too, right? Oh, maybe
Yeah.
that's why he said it. Actually, yeah.
Yeah. No, because I had looked up like movies based on like DC properties for the other thing that I did, and it was and I was like Road to Perdition, and there was a couple of other ones where I was like, I didn't know that was based on like a DC property. But
History
Justin,
of
like I
Violence?
said,
Violence is one too.
history.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was the other one.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, you're right. I was trying to figure out what the other one was, but yeah, it's History of Violence. So you're working on the short, and I think like I said, we're in a time now where even in the 80s and 90s, the Donner Cut and stuff like that, we weren't really there technologically. We love those movies like Star Wars and stuff like that, even though but now you see like Rogue One, which is a Star Wars movie, and you're like, man, if they just reshot shot for shot Star Wars right now, just reshoot it shot for shot. Do what old dude did with Psycho. Just reshoot it shot for shot with better graphics, better technology. But when we say those movies are better, we're really just kind of like, we're letting nostalgia kind of get the best of us a little bit because
well, it's funny too because like this feature script I wrote is like all about nostalgia, and I'm trying to sneak a line in there about how like studios just remake movies over and over, and it's just like, I mean, I want to equate it to masturbation for some reason, but like that's what it is in a way. It's like you're pledging yourself to an old idea, and it's but it's funny how nostalgia runs thing. Yeah, they want IP. They want the IP that people like and know, and so that's why superheroes, they keep making them.
Yeah, the you got to realize that they want to make money, so they're gonna go with the tried and true over the
safest.
the safest way.
Right, like us, the indie filmmakers.
We're out here. We're out here. Netflix. We're out here.
Netflix.
Netflix. Hulu. Let me write something. Justin can direct it. I'm not greedy. I'll share the pie. I don't care, man.
What was that? You direct it. Yeah.
You can be my B unit any day. Like if you did the Top Gun, you can be my wingman any day, Justin. All right, you can be my lighting guy any day, Mr. Burquist. Okay, so when are you guys going to send me the Lou's Place neon sign? Because I'm waiting for that, and I don't know if that was just
in my room.
You got it in your room? How do I not have that? How am I? Can I trade you for some other piece of? There's like a Criterion collection you need me to buy you? Why can't I have it? How? Like, just picture that, right? Like, like right back
Right
there
in the
for my
background?
stream. Yeah, man, I need that.
But isn't it the wrong Lou? It's LOU. Yours should just
No,
be
but
LU.
no, LOU is fine. They call me Big Chief Burrito. They call me Big Lou. I go by
Just
Lou
add O in
Martinez
there,
all
and
the
you're
time.
good.
That's all. I get called Lou all the time. It does. At this point, you're just being mean to me, Justin. That's all right. That's all right. That's all right, brother. That's okay. I'll let you slide. But if there's a Criterion collection or a bottle of Macallan's that you need, you just tell me. I got you. We'll make the trade.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do a deal. We'll talk.
We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do a deal. All right, guys. Well, thank you, David, for all the commentary. Thank you, everybody that stopped by earlier today. Cyro,
Go watch
Joe
Watchmen.
Climb. Go watch Watchmen.
Director's cut.
Thank you guys for being a part of it. I forgot the name of the movie already. Sucker Punch sucks. Is my last thought. I mean, whatever you want to say about it.
You gotta watch Director's cut. Yeah.
But well, yeah, dude, I didn't know about all these. I didn't know there was a Terrence Malice director's cut of Thin Red Line. That
Dude,
feel like
you gotta watch them. They're
feel
better. I would say they're better. Yeah.
And my last point about that was like I love that movie and that place of his career so much that almost like I don't want to dive deep into his other movies because I don't want that to taint it. Because sometimes you feel like that about filmmakers that you don't want to see what they do next because you're like, no, you're good.
Yeah, you realize it was hit or miss, and it's like, oh, he just got lucky with this one. You're like,
Yeah. All right. But anyway, man, you're always invited for any other topics, filmmaking topics, to butt in. As I have, people that booked in. David, you're also invited to come on. We can figure out a time for you to come on. We can talk movies or anything that you're into. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you guys follow us on 2amburrito.com. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook.com/2amburrito, Twitch.tv/2amburrito, YouTube.com/2amburrito, and anywhere else that you get your pods. This will be up in a couple of days as an audio only version. So from the Burrito Lounge and Mr. Justin Burquist, thank you for everybody that tuned in today. Big Chief Burrito, we're out. Peace out.